And welcome to Daily Records. I am Tommy Burton, and we are talking about guitar heroes for the month of June. And this is a guitar player that I think is one of those kind of underrated guitarists in the vein of, say, a Lindsey Buckingham who we talked about earlier. But I feel like is a fantastic guitarist. So I want to talk about him, Andy Summers of the Police. Everyone knows the Police. We're going to talk about the album Synchronicity, probably their biggest album. This was their fifth and final album that they released. It came out on June 17th, 1983. And like I said, most successful release too, probably, because of the singles from this album. There were so many, most notably Every Breath You Take, which is a song which anyone who grew up in the 80s to today knows that song. But I want to point out the beautiful guitar playing on it. Now, Andy was never one of those, he soloed and took these sort of big guitar solos, but he played these incredibly complex chords and was just a really interesting player. In a band of interesting players. Stuart Copeland, notably, my drummer friends out there, what do you think of Copeland? Too much? Not enough? Just right? Very, very interesting player. King of Pain, another big hit from this album, Wrapped Around Your Finger, and Synchronicity too. Now, the title, and this is the back cover here, and I think this album had several different album covers, so they're all collectible. And so depending on which one you look at, it varies, but the stripes are all different. But this was inspired by Arthur Koestler's The Roots of Coincidence, which was highly influential in the album. It did win or it was nominated for 5 Grammy Awards, including Album of the Year, and it won 3 of those. And it's really put the Police on the map as one of the biggest bands in the world at the time. Stewart, Andy, and Sting. Of course, most notably Sting went on to have a huge solo career that a lot of people know. Just one of the more interesting artists of our time. Like I said, huge selling album, very acclaimed by the critics, and a lot of experimentation. Each song on the album kind of serves itself. Just sonically and musically, it's very, very interesting. Now, definitely one of the best albums of the 80s, and listed in the Rolling Stone magazine as one of the 500 greatest albums of all time. And it's been inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. So it's got a very, very important legacy. Now, again, talking about the Roots of Coincidence, Sting was an avid reader of Koestler, and he actually titled another Police album Ghost in the Machine after his work. Now, the big thing about this album that probably stands out for a lot of listeners is that the Police up to this point were really heavily influenced by reggae music, and that reggae influence permeated through those first 4 albums. This album, produced by Hugh Padgham and the Police, it was more, there were a lot more synthesizers, and it was a little more production heavy. And songs like Synchronicity, Wrapped Around Your Finger, those songs definitely had that stamp of that Hugh Padgham production, which in and of itself now has become a little bit controversial. But there's also some world music influences here as well. Songs like Tea in the Sahara and Walking in Your Footsteps. Now, they went to Montserrat at Air Studios to start recording. They recorded, all 3 members recorded their parts in separate rooms in the studios. Copeland, from what I understand, was set up in the dining room. Sting was in the control room, and Andy was the only guy in the actual studio. And it was done for a couple of reasons, but really it was to try to achieve like the best sound of each instrument. So, of course, being a trio, a little bit easier to zero in on that. But all the overdubs were done with one member at a time as well, so they weren't all in there just kind of toiling away. And from what I understand, when they were recording Every Breath You Take, Sting and Stuart Copeland had a huge falling out, and Padgham almost quit recording the album. Now, according to the artwork, as I mentioned, the artwork, I think there's 36 or 37 different variations on the cover, the color stripes and the photographs. These photographs are by photographer Dwayne Michaels. And the most common version, which is one I have here, is the photo of Sting down here reading Synchronicity. So there you go. And of course the back cover has like a close-up of it. So mine's not rare by any means, but I don't care because it's all about the music anyway. And like I said, it was a big hit album for the band. And so, interesting guitarist, Andy Summers, and one of my very favorites. I love hearing what he has to play. So, Synchronicity, today's daily record by the Police. Like, comment, subscribe, share, follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's TommyBurton75. I love interacting with you guys. In the meantime, I will see you all again tomorrow with another daily record.